fortunate that we borrowed this set of bells from a church in Redlands. This set of bells, if we were to purchase them, would be $6,000. So if any of you have $6,000 laying around your house, please let me know and we'll purchase our own that we can keep forever and ever. We do have openings in our bell tower. You notice I played several bells because we have a couple of holes. So if you know 6th, 7th, and 8th graders who might be interested in ringing, preference given to them, but I'll take 5th graders who really want to come. We meet on Wednesday afternoons. And we work hard, but we have a really great time. We learn really wonderful music. Thank you guys.
O be joyful, O be jubilant, put your sorrows far away. We rejoice and sing together this happy day.
So this group was the first one to go to a festival, and we went to a festival at Citrus Valley in Redlands. We sang in this beautiful auditorium, a real auditorium with a real grand piano. It was just really beautiful and it was glorious. They did a really good job and they sound even better now. And I'll talk to you later about the performance that we have tomorrow. We do have another one where we will have music directors listening to them and writing comments and working with them and helping them learn how to be even better singers. The next song we're going to sing, I want to explain to you. It's a song that I've known about, and it's really beautiful, but it has a deeper meaning. Many years ago during World War II, we know that the Jewish people were terribly persecuted. And there was a group of them that went out in the woods and hid and lived in a cave, hoping to survive the war, of course. And I can just imagine how bleak that was to be living out there not knowing what was going to happen or who might betray you or who might come and take you away. And yet, after the war was over, when people went back to this cave, inscribed on the walls were these great words of hope and faith that got them through those very, very dark times.
Says, "Good like me."
did she say? My wife says honey, my horse says neigh, my cow says shoo, fly, pig says fodder, hen says chickaroo, my duck says quack, quack. My cat says fiddle-I,
So the next choir gets to meet every day as a class. It is wonderful to see them every day and get to sing with them and do all kinds of wonderful musical activities.
Sing to the Lord a new song, sing to the Lord all the earth.
Cantate Domino, canticuno, cantate Domino, o misera, cantate Domino, cantate Domino, alleluia, alleluia. Cantate Domino, cantate Domino, cantate Domino, cantate Domino, alleluia, alleluia. Cantate Domino, benedicite nomine eius, annunciate ite gentes, gloriam tuum, gloriam magnis Dominum, gloriam magnis Dominum, et laudam miles laudam miles, et laudam miles laudam miles, et laudam miles Cantate Domino, cantate Domino, cantate Domino, cantate Domino, alleluia, alleluia,
See the lovely jasmine flower, oh what a lovely jasmine flower. Fragrant flowers fill the air, beautiful blossoms everywhere. Cheesy blossom, white and pure, give it to the one that you adore. Jasmine flower, the one that I adore.
song comes from Africa. As you can tell, we got the big djembe and everything. And I want to explain about this because in all cultures, we teach children stories that help them learn about life. For instance, if we talk about the little boy who cried wolf, we tell that story to children so that they know that they need to be truthful so people will believe them. We tell them the story about the little engine that could, so that they know that they should never give up, right? There's a lot of stories like that that we tell our children. And in Africa, they have a story that they tell the children about a hawk. And this hawk's name is Sansa. And they want to reassure the children that should anything ever happen that they are left alone, that Sansa the hawk will come and swoop down and pick them up and carry them away and take care of them. And while that seems like an unusual metaphor for us here in America, for their culture, that is a very comforting thing that helps the children to know that they are loved and will be cared for in all eventualities. And that's something, of course, that we know that all children need. So, Sansa Kroma.
Sansa Kroma, Inewo, Cheche Kokoma. 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 Sansa Kroma, Inewo, Kokoma. Sansa Kroma, Inewo, Kokoma. Sansa Kroma, Ninewo Kokoma. Sansa Kroma, Ninewo Kokoma.
Thank you so much. We do have a couple of things that I think that would be helpful to talk over with you because we have a big thing going on tomorrow. So, I made some notes. Okay, so I sent out a to remind you about tomorrow. So, this year we're doing something new. Mr. Young, the director at the high school, has set up a choir festival at the high school for all of the district choirs. So this is really wonderful. We don't have to get on a bus and drive a long way. For those of you who are CE Singers parents, I apologize. It took us 2.5 hours to get home from Whittier the other day, and I knew that it'd be a little longer than going there, but I didn't know it'd be that long, because after all, we were coming home at 2 o'clock. That should be early enough to beat the traffic, right? No, it wasn't at all. So I apologize. We did our best, but we had a really great time. So I want to reiterate, Melody Makers are meeting at 3:50 at the high school. I have maps in case you don't know where the music building is. Sometimes when you go onto campuses, it can be very confusing. And so you can park in the regular big parking lot here. Let me look at it right side up. This senior parking lot, or you can drive around the back if you're letting them off. There is limited parking, but there is parking in the back. And I circled the music building. So there are maps here if you're not familiar where you're going. It would be much better to take a map than to be wandering around the campus not quite sure and be late. So, he's here. Okay, so Melody Makers are meeting at 3:50, and then they start warming up at 4 o'clock, and they will be done at 5. So you are welcome to come and listen to them. There will be a little bit of space for parents. You do not have to come. I mean, you've heard everything they're doing tomorrow, but if you want to see how that process goes, you may come tomorrow, or you may drop them off and come back and get them at 5 o'clock. CE Singers are singing later. We have this all juggled because Mrs. Ritchie is playing for other choirs, so we had to do like this to make it work so she could play for everybody. Their call time is 4:50 at the music rooms there, and they will be done at 6. Okay? So if you have questions, please come and ask me. I so appreciate your support and letting your children come to choir and letting them be a part of this, and hopefully being part of something really wonderful that sticks with them all their lives. I'll tell you very quickly, I had a very interesting experience about 3 weeks ago in that I had lunch with one of my assistant principals. He didn't know me very well because I didn't get in trouble. But I said, oh, well, I went to Del Diaz that year and we reminisced about, we were on double sessions with another school, and anyway, so we were talking about school, and I started thinking about, well, what do I remember from that year? I remember choir. I remember art class. I remember choir. We sang songs from Oliver. And we went to the elementary school and sang for them. It was cool. And, oh, I remember choir. Now, I'm not saying the other classes are not important. Please do not get that idea. But I know that the arts stick with us in a way that's very different than purely academic, book learning subjects. And they make a difference in our lives. They make us better people. And that's why I do what I do. Because I know that it does make a difference. We need some financial support. I really invite some of you to become a friend of the music program here. We still need to pay for our bus to go to the Melody Makers thing. I encourage you, I would be happy to write you a receipt and put that in our account to help pay for our bus. There are lots of other expenses. If you feel that what your children are getting is valuable, maybe we can show the children that in a real tangible way. So I invite you to join with us in that. If you have questions about tomorrow, please come ask me. It's going to be a wonderful day, and then we will be done with this season. And as soon as we get back from school, the older choir has chosen to do songs from Mary Poppins as their Pops concert.
Are you going to tell
The Melody Makers are going to do songs from Beauty and the Beast. Because we have this wonderful group of boys, and can't you just sing in the Gaston song? So, we will be starting on that right after spring break. We have very limited time. Please, 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 if you can, please don't make doctor's appointments and things during that. it really shoots us in the foot because those students come back and they're really behind. And we're going to put this together in about 5 rehearsals. And it's pages and pages and pages and pages of music. So I encourage you to have perfect attendance for your students, and I look forward to seeing you after the break. Thank you so much for coming this evening.